Oh, yeah.
I think I'm
Yeah, well, it's been a good day. Aha, now I understand. We know that. They're late.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming. My name is Jeremy Hardigan, Director of Athletic Communications here at Cornell. We're going to introduce the Meekum Smith, Director of Athletics and Physical Education, Andy Noel, to start today's press conference.
Thank you, Jeremy. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to everybody who's here this afternoon, and in particular our friends from the media who've come to campus to enjoy this terrific announcement with us. Also to our staff who are present, and some of my favorite staff in the back. I won't name you, but some of our great staff, including senior staff. I know Charlie Flager's here, Vice President, and of course Susan Murphy, the Vice President for Student and Academic Services. And more importantly, Bill's mother, Hattie. Hattie, would you stand and say hello to the crowd? Just give them a wave. Bill's wife, Gina. Gina, please stand and wave to the crowd. And Derek and Billy, age 9 and 7. Stand up and say hello to everybody, guys. In late April, we accepted an enormous responsibility to name our new Robert E. Gallagher Class of 44 head coach of men's basketball. And this responsibility was vitally important for a number of reasons, and first of which, and I won't really get into it now, but the name that's on our head coach position, Bob Gallagher, meant the world to this program, endowed the head coaching position, and supported these young men and our coaching staff over many, many years. A very, very special man who passed away a few years ago. It's also vitally important because of our desire to maintain the momentum that we have achieved over the last 3 to 5 years. Not just 3 years when we had championships, but 3 to 5 years as we really turn this thing around. And then, of course, more importantly, the young men who return from our basketball team who have the desire and the will to continue to win championships and to make a run deep into the NCAA tournament once again. Now, everybody understands pretty clearly that an exciting, riveting run into the NCAA tournament is going to prove to result in high-profile applicants for a Division I head coaching basketball job, particularly when the candidate will have an opportunity to coach bright, articulate students who are also terrific basketball players. And that's what we have. Few individuals, however, understand what it took to get to the place that we are now in our program. It wasn't an overnight sensation. It was truly a marathon and not a sprint. So out of a large pool of very confident, interested, and qualified candidates, there emerged an individual who captured our focus and actually, in all honesty, captured our heart. So who is this new coach? What path did he take to this exciting day? I'll give you a few of the highlights and some of the stops along the way. In 1992, graduated from Bucknell University after a stellar career where he was the leading scorer in the Patriot League as a junior and as a senior, was second in scoring, but it was a lot more than scoring that contributed to him earning a membership in the Bucknell Athletics Hall of Fame in 2007. From 1992 to 1994, played professionally, and also because when he played professionally in Asia, their season was such that he could come back to the States and coach high school teams, and he did that for 2 years, which was terrific experience for a young coach. Spent a year at Bowling Green University with head coach Jim Larinaga, and then followed Jim to George Mason, where he coached with Jim for 8 years. And in that 9th year, Jim took George Mason to the Final Four with the guys that Bill and Jim recruited together. They were locked at the hip, recruiting like crazy, and had that terrific run that made that made Mason such a mid-major figure back a few years ago, 2006. So at that time, with advice from Coach Larinaga, our aspiring young coach wanted to be a head coach, and he was told by his mentor, you better go out and become an assistant coach in the ACC or the Big East. And so he did that. He went to Providence for a year, and then to the University of Virginia for 3 years, and subsequently, after a quick pit stop, I would call it, at VCU, went to Virginia Tech and with Seth Greenberg on his staff. But with all this experience and some highlights and some drama, I would say, it provided a foundation for a young coach to take on an amazing responsibility. But what I'm most impressed with, and I think the folks who had the opportunity to spend time with Bill during his visit to campus, the interview process, was that we found a man who was a terrific person, a dedicated son. He spoke so much about his mother. I can't get into that, or I won't get through the press conference, but his terrific wife and his great kids, and a father, a husband, a son, a great person. And while a great person, that is our foundation. We want that, but we also want a lot more. We also want drive. We also want a will to win. We also want a person who's going to challenge our players and work with them, but love them at the same time, to give them a positive experience, to be a kind coach, but an unbelievably demanding coach, and to make sure that our players have fun while they're being challenged every day. A man that is known as a relentless recruiter. A lot of his success, and it's all over the articles and the blogs, what a terrific recruiter Bill is. But even more importantly, someone who emphasized focus on working with players once they're at Cornell to improve them as individuals, as he improved at Bucknell. I think Bill even said to me, when I got to Bucknell, was recruited fairly hard, but I realized I wasn't that good a player when I arrived. And a coach spent many, many hours with me to make me a better player than ultimately an all-league player. But he wants to invest in the lives of our players as athletes, but also as students, and also to help them prepare for their career. So with no further ado, I give you the 21st Robert E. Gallagher, class of 1944, head coach of men's basketball, Bill Courtney.
Wow, it's great to be here. I just want to say thank you for everyone coming out. It's unbelievable to see this kind of support. It's one of the things that drew me to Cornell. When I told some of the guys here when I was on my interview that even looking into their eyes and understanding what Cornell University represented, not only a first-class academic institution, but an institution where people were allowed to grow as individuals. An institution where people are allowed to express themselves, an institution where it's a sense of community and everybody's together. I've seen that, no better example than that team from this year. And to a man, all of our guys talked about the fact that this team was so together. And that's really what drew me to Cornell University. As I came up here last week and talked to several people, what clearly stood out to me is that it's the people that make the place. And the people here are unbelievable at Cornell University. The people I've gotten to know already, Anna Noel, and his leadership of the athletic department, unbelievable. You don't find that everywhere in college athletics. But I feel very fortunate to have found this place, and I feel even more fortunate that they found me. It's a special place, and I'm very, very excited to be here. I will start by giving out a few thank yous. And Andy said he wouldn't talk about my mom, but I surely will, and I'm not going to make the press conference. So guys, don't think I'm soft. I shed a tear at this too. First thing I'd like to say is thank you to Steve Donahue and the unbelievable job that he did here at Cornell, the shape that he left the program in, the winning culture that he established, the guys that he has left behind. I mean, a big thank you to Coach Donahue for the job that he did. He was tremendous. And it'll be some big shoes to fill, even though I think his foot's a little smaller than mine. But he did a tremendous job. So a great thank you to Steve. He's a good man, a good person. I've known him for years. Actually, he went to the same high school as my wife. He's a little older, but same high school. Yeah. But a big thank you to Coach Donahue. Susan Murphy, VP Susan Murphy, tremendous. You see her passion for Cornell University. She has a passion for these young men, unbelievable amount of caring that goes into it. She's just tremendous. So a big thank you to her because she has a big part of me being here. A special thank you to all the associate ADs, Larry Quant, Steve Erber, Jeff Hall, all those guys standing in the back. I really appreciate meeting those guys. And again, you realize right when you get it, you realize the people are what makes this place great. And so a big thank you to those guys. And certainly not least of all, Andy Noel, who saw something in me that he thought was special. And I really appreciate it. He's one of the most unbelievable leaders in college athletics. I hope everybody realizes how fortunate we are to have someone like here leading our athletics program. And then you can look around all across America. One of the things that happens as a head coach, you want to make sure you're working with and for great guys. And I certainly already know that Andy Noel is a great guy. I'd like to thank the guys that shaped my career real quickly. Charlie Willard, my college coach, Chris Mackey, who I worked for at American U, Tim Welsh, Dave Lato, Seth Greenberg, and of course my mentor, Jim Laranega, who I learned a ton from. Like my kids, my 7-year-old grew 4 times already. And so, we told him the other day, he's going to make a lot of friends up here, and we're going to be here for a while. We're going to finish school up here. That's what we told him the other day, so hopefully that's the case. We're happy to be in Ithaca, and I think they're going to enjoy it. Guys on the team, you see these guys around all the time, and they'll be trying to get you to help work on their game. Or either that or play Xbox, one of the two. I like to thank my wife, Gina. The ups and downs that we go through in this business, the ups and downs you go through after 10 years of marriage, it's unbelievable. She's a special, special person, and she is a big part of who I am today. She's helped me become a better man, a better father, and a better husband. So a big thank you to my wife. Here we go. I'd like to thank my mother. In 1976, she was 24 years old. And she was 24 years old, and lived in Wisconsin and moved her family to Washington, D.C. Didn't know anyone, single mother. Moved her family, moved to a neighborhood that wasn't the best in the world, but it was a hard time. It's a hard time for us. 5 children, scrapped, worked 2 jobs, went to school at night, did what she could to raise her kids, worked her tail off. And the job she did was unbelievable. She's now got a doctorate degree, and all 5 children are college graduates. Courtney is my hero, and a lot of things that you'll see in me come directly from that, from my wife and my mom. They've shaped who I am. They're two incredible women. And so when you see some of the passion that I have for helping young men to be successful, to grow into men, that's where it comes from. It's easy to see. When you see the work ethic, we'll be out there beating the bushes, to help these guys get better, to find great players, to keep that Cornell tradition alive. That's where it comes from. The incredible passion and work ethic. And you see my positive attitude. It's because whenever times get tough, I start to think to myself, it's really not that bad. There's a whole lot of things that are a lot worse. And I tell guys right away, we're going to have some ups and downs, some success and failure. But it's great when you're around great people. That makes it important. That makes it easy to live with when you don't necessarily achieve all your dreams. My challenge here is a great one, I think. The job that Coach Gallagher did is amazing. We lose all those seniors and 3 of the best players ever in Cornell history. Ryan, Lewis, and Jeff, 3 of the best players in history. And so you have to rebuild a little bit. But I've looked into the eyes of our guys, and I see that they've tasted that success and that they want it again. And there was no person in that room, this room, that wants it more than I. So we're going to work our tails off to make it happen again. I can promise you that. Our goal is to win Ivy League championships. And that's what we intend to do. And we're going to make the sacrifices and do the amount of work it takes to get to that level. I don't know when it's going to happen. I hope it's next year. But we're going to win Ivy League championships. What you're going to see on the court is an extremely hard-playing team, a team that plays with great energy, a team that has fun. The game should be fun, but winning is a lot more fun than losing. It's a great group of young men that I've had a chance to meet. I just spoke with these guys a little while ago, guys I met before when I was here on campus for my visit. A great group of young men that I know I'm going to have a pleasure to work with these guys. They understand the ideas of what Cornell is all about, first-rate quality education, but at the same time, they're still great basketball players. And like I told these guys before, they won't back down to anyone. You should respect every opponent, but we won't back down to anyone. Also, I'd like to reach out to all the alumni, all the people that graduated from Cornell, especially former team members. And I just had a chance to speak with the seniors briefly at the party. And they will always be a part of this Cornell basketball family. All of you here are part of our Cornell basketball family. And feel free to enjoy all the benefits that come with that. I'm going to be very accessible. I'm going to be out there in the community. I'm always going to be meeting and greeting people. I want the Cornell basketball family to continue to grow. Obviously, a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon this year, and we want to make sure they stay and get to know. Lastly, I told our team I want to dream big. I just told them, no one thinks we're going to be that good next year. We lose all those guys. No one thinks we're going to be that good. But put no limits on what we can accomplish, because I certainly don't. These last few years have been the best run in school history. But my hope is the best is yet to come. Thanks.
Thanks, Bill. And now a few words from our #1 fan, Vice President of Student Academic Services, Susan Murphy, who was in Jacksonville rooting you guys on to those 2 big wins. Susan?
Syracuse as well. I just am delighted to join Andy and all of you in welcoming Bill and his entire family to the Cornell family. Truth be told, I grew up as a longtime hockey fan because I had an older brother who played ice hockey, so from the time I was these boys' age, I was going to hockey games. And during my era as an undergrad, which was a lot longer than when Bill was in school, I was just being reminded, Cornell basketball was not where it is now. It was nowhere near where it is now. So I've been a little bit of the Johnny-come-lately to the basketball enthusiasm because I've been spending all my time over at Minor Rink. But starting about 5 years ago, I was hearing exciting things coming out of Newman Arena and began to pay a little bit more of attention. And in the last 3 years have probably spent more time in Newman Arena than I have in Minor Rink. In part because it has been so exciting to see what has happened with and for our men's basketball program. So Bill is absolutely right. He has virtual big shoes to fill with what Steve left us. But Andy gave me the opportunity to participate in all of the interviews of the finalists. And I will just say that Bill had some very tough competition. But after I met Bill, my first thought was, I'm not sure who's recruiting whom here, because he has the reputation of being a relentless recruiter, as Andy said, and that's exactly how I felt in the room. I thought to myself, if I'm a young man in his family in a living room, and this guy is talking to me, you know, he hasn't even been at Cornell University, and he's already selling me about why coaching at Cornell is going to be such a passion for him. I think his Bucknell background and being out of the Patriot League, which is our cousin league in the world of the NCAA, who understands the importance of academics as well as athletics, is going to stand him in very good stead, even though I have a cousin who's a Bucknellian and I just can't wait till that competition emerges. What he did at George Mason is extraordinary. And it meant a lot to me to hear from our former colleague, President Alan Merton at George Mason, who wanted to make sure that Andy knew what a treasure this fellow was, and we had better pay special attention as we go through the interview process. And then I met Bill, had that recruiting experience in my office, and said to Andy, you have a tough decision to make, but I know what my decision would be. It's your choice. And I was thrilled the day before yesterday when he said he had news for me, and it was going to be Bill Courtney who was going to be the Gallagher coach. We were just thrilled to have you here, Bill. You bring the personal values that now I know where they come from, and gosh, with a mom and a wife who made that much of an impact, you can imagine what the female vice president is thinking. This is great. You clearly come with an incredible personal commitment to what education means and can provide. You understand what family provides, and that is what the basketball community is. It's a family. You understand what you are inheriting, and it is about building from strength, which is an unusual position, I think, for many coaches. But we are totally confident in not only what you will bring to us as a basketball expert, but what you will bring to us as a leader in the Cornell community. Andy mentioned that my colleague Charlie Flagler is here, and as we both just left a parent's visit, Charlie is a Virginia Tech alumnus. And he whispered in my ear that already he's hearing from his Virginia Tech buddies that we've made a fabulous choice. We knew that, and it's just with great, great delight that we welcome you, Bill, to our family. Congratulations to us and to you. Thank you very much.
Okay, now it's time for a few questions.
Bill, you mentioned the hard work. What keys do you see that you'll need to implement kind of quickly to sustain the momentum of the program and keep it at the level you want to keep it at?
Well, I think a little bit of that's been done already. What happened when Coach Donahue left, there was an opportunity for the guys to kind of slack off, for a better term, and not be working towards the goals. But guys that have shown some ownership already And it's part of that winning culture that's been established already here. Like guys are in the gym, guys are in the weight room, they're doing the things that it needs to take to be successful. So I feel like it's not a lot of stuff that you have to do to change. You don't have to change anything. I think implementing immediately, finding out what we have, find out what our strengths and weaknesses are, and how we'll implement that to be successful.
Do you envision recruiting at this level to be much different than at the ACC level or even at George Mason? Compare, contrast what you expect that to be like?
Yeah, I've been asked that question a couple times, and I answer the same way. I think what happens in recruiting is you have to find who you can recruit first. And here, obviously, is going to be a student that's academically prepared to obviously first get into Cornell University, then also to be successful. All right, so you have to find that pool of candidates. You have to find a pool of candidates where financially it makes sense for that young man. And whatever that financial situation is, it has to make sense for that young man. And I think once you find your pool of candidates, your pool of young men you want to recruit, recruiting becomes the same. It becomes about building relationships. And no matter what level you're on, it's all about the relationship you establish with the young man, with the family, with the coaches, the AAU or high school coach, whoever it may be that influences that young man. It's all about those relationships. And at the end of the day, that's all the same.
Bill, why is Cornell a good fit for you?
Like I said before, my whole, I'm a field guy, and so the vibe here is great. I'm talking to Gillespie and those guys, and Whitney, I always see them in the sandals. You got the sandals on right there, Whitney? I like that. I like that fact. And someone said it's an elite place, but not elitist. The people are real. The people are real here. It's an incredible academic institution, and so people have the right to put their nose in the air a little bit, but it's not that kind of place. The guys aren't like that. The people in the athletic administration aren't like that. I think it's a special place. I think it's a place where young men want to come to school. They have a great experience. So I think it's an easy sell. I don't even think I have to sell as hard as I did with Susan Murphy.
Other questions on the floor before we break into one-on-ones?
I'll give you one more, Bill. When this job first opened, was there someone who got in your ear and said it suggested that this might be a great fit for you?
My mentor was Jim Leonard, as I mentioned before, and he said that this was the right fit for me. That it was my time. He thought that this was a great opportunity. Thought that I could be very successful here. Obviously, it's been done before, so you see that part of it. And then somebody said, it was funny, when I started to first get involved, I read an article, and it talked about Coach Donahue running into the stands and hugging Andy after one of the wins. And that struck me right there, because again, like I said, that doesn't happen too often in college basketball. And so, then when you knew you had a special guy that you'd be working for, that made it more attractive, because that's very, very important. So, Andy gets a lot of credit or a lot of blame.
Anything else for now, guys?
Coach, can you talk a little bit about your experience at Bucknell and in a league where academics and athletics are so important, and how you think that'll help you here at Cornell?
Yeah, I think it helps tremendously, because I kind of know what these guys are going through. When I met these guys before, when I was here on my interview, when I talked about, I asked them the question, what made you choose Cornell? And inevitably, what was stressed in their homes was academics, like it was in mine. Academics was the thing that was stressed. So they immediately, there was a connection there, that understanding why you choose a place like Cornell or Bucknell or something like that. There's a connection, an understanding of why you choose that. That's the first thing. But then also the basketball. All these guys have been a part of success and seen success. And so they're basketball players. They're not just guys that are great in school. These guys are basketball players. And that's how I was. I had a chip on my shoulder. I told these guys, play with a chip. And you respect every opponent, but fear no one. Go into the game thinking I'm better than them. And these guys, have that. And I think that, my similar experiences will help me a long way in understanding some of the things they're going through.
Great. We'll break out into one-on-ones.
Thanks again, guys.